right? And what does video games remind me of? GameStop. And I was going through YouTube and I haven't watched this video yet, but I see this video here, how to trade at GameStop with Riley. Let's get into it.
Hey, I'm Riley and welcome to GameStop. Today I'm here to talk about trading your old consoles, games, and accessories to GameStop. Bring them in and we'll assess the condition, then give you cash or store credit. We accept a wide range of video games, consoles, and controllers, including retro. We also accept phones, tablets, Apple Watches, Apple TVs, and MacBooks.
I feel like when GameStop started accepting like phones and laptops and like non-video game shit, but like electronics that weren't video game shit, that was like the true mark of like when GameStop went down the crapper. Because I remember going to GameStop and they were trying to sell me Cricket phone. GameStop used to try to sell you Game Informer magazine. GameStop said fuck the magazines, and all of a sudden GameStop was trying to sell you like Cricket phone plans and just like all these like weird non-gaming bullshit things, you know? Like of all companies GameStop could like partner with, why did they pick Cricket, you know? What is the coverage for Cricket like? It can't be that good.
Some collectibles like PSA graded cards and amiibos.
Damn, they're taking Pokemon cards? Damn, GameStop really had... I need to walk into the local GameStop, man. I haven't been to GameStop forever. Though, to be fair, like in my area, most GameStops are like the size of a closet. Like, most of them, tiny, tiny, tiny. I do remember GameStops were never like massive stores like Best Buys or anything like that for obvious reasons, but I do remember like the GameStops being like bigger when I was a kid, because I remember you would walk into a GameStop and they would have like multiple consoles on display that you could play with. You had like Game Informer radio playing on the speakers when you walked in. You had like the Guitar Hero boxes on the front of the store. Yeah, most GameStops nowadays are like very not inviting, and they don't even really have space for you to browse. Like GameStop, you got to show up there knowing what you want. You go walk in there, you tell the employee you tell the employee at the counter what you want, they grab it for you, and you get the hell out of that place, man. GameStop is not what it used to be. However, I did buy my PS3, and the games I bought for my PS3 were the Sly HD collection. Now, with the Sly HD collection, I played through a good chunk of it. Sly 2 was by far the best of the Sly games. Sly 1, I didn't like how you could only play as Sly, right? Bentley and Murray weren't playable characters yet. And then Sly 3 was pretty good. I really liked the Sly 3 story. I wish you got to play as Guru a lot more than you did. I wish you got to play as like Dimitri more. I wish you got to play as like those side characters, you know, like those characters should have been Panda is the same way. Panda was a cool character. Those characters should have all been just as playable as Sly, Bentley, and Murray. You know what I mean? The fact that they developed them and you could only play them for a couple missions, and mind you, the missions are not replayable. So if there's like a guru mission, once you beat that mission, it's over. You can never play as that character again. You can't replay the mission, and you can't free roam as that character either. So that was my thoughts with the Sly HD collection. I forgot how good those games were. The Jack and Daxter collection, Jack and Daxter was a very good series, you know, but Jack and Daxter reminded me just how difficult video games were in like the 90s and 2000s. So mind you guys, I'm not a heavy gamer. So this is probably, if you're like a gamer, this is probably not news to you. But one thing I looked up and I saw online is video games used to be a lot more difficult in the 90s and the 2000s because the devs just had so much less to work with, right? So to make the game seem longer, they had to like make the levels harder. So you spent more time on each level. Where nowadays you got stuff like The Last of Us and stuff like that, where the video games, the story modes for the video games kind of play like a movie. Back in the day, they couldn't have games doing that. They had to like make the levels harder just to increase the amount of playing time you got out of the game, you know? But Jak 2 was so difficult that I didn't finish it. The Jak 2 levels were so frustrating and annoying, okay, that I was like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm not replaying this shit, okay? Jak 2, I think I maybe got 35% of the way through the game, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. It's like I'm playing each like mission takes me like over an hour. I've had enough. Another game I played was Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. Obviously, one of the most hated, not so talked about games in the Mortal Kombat franchise. I did think the story was pretty cool. Like the story just felt like a fever dream of seeing like Green Lantern and like Scorpion in the same room. You know, you would never imagine that, right? Was the fighting great? No. Was the story mode very long? No. But the idea of it was really cool. Unfortunately, the execution of it wasn't great. And the last game I got was Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit. Now, when the PS3 came out, Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit was like, I think the first game that me and my brother had when we had gotten a PS3, right? And I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fanatic. My brother enjoys Dragon Ball, but I love Dragon Ball Z, man. So I played the living shit out of Burst Limit, but Burst Limit had like quite a few problems. First, the graphics were like pretty groundbreaking at the time. Like the game looked really, really good, especially because the games prior to that, like Budokai 3, were all like cell shaded. Burst Limit looked beautiful in 2000. What was it? 2007 when that came out. Burst Limit looked beautiful, or maybe it was like 08, 09, whatever year it was. Burst Limit looked beautiful. The first problem was the character roster on Burst Limit was small. I can't tell you the amount of characters, but when you compare it to Budokai 3, it felt like there was like less than 20. Okay, not very many characters. The only other issue with Burst Limit that I had was the game only went up to the Cell Saga. And there's quite a few Dragon Ball Z games that I can remember that have done that similar thing where like Dragon Ball Z Sagas, despite the name Sagas, does not have the Buu Saga or GT. I remember Budokai 1 only went up to the Cell Saga. And I hate when Dragon Ball Z games do that. If you're going to give me a story mode of an anime that's been completed, make sure the story mode completes the anime. You know what I mean? There's no excuse. There's no reason a Dragon Ball Z game shouldn't have had the Buu Saga, right? I don't know. With Dragon Ball Z sagas, the concept was clearly there, but it would have been a lot better had they actually put some more effort into it. Um, so that's about it with the PS3. Now, do I regret buying a PS3 in 2023? Not necessarily. It was pretty good, but I will admit that I've gotten like pretty bored of it. I played it for on my days off and like in my free time for about 2 weeks. Granted, I should have been doing something more productive, but whatever. But I'm already kind of like sick of it, and I'm thinking about like selling it back to the local game shop that I bought it from because at this point it's just playing dust, collecting dust, and there's like no other games that I see myself playing on it, you know?
DJ T Stomp here, and your girl glad to see him.